My name is Nai, the great goddess of the river. My daughter, you have come to me to ask for a child. I will grant your wish and give you a beautiful daughter. You shall name her Akiki. She will be different from others. She will not cry. When she grows up, never make her cry for anything. Always give her whatever she wants. She will protect you and your husband. Go now, my daughter, and never look back. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a very hard-working couple named Obi and Adaku. They were among the wealthiest in the village, but despite their prosperity, they lacked one thing: a child. This absence weighed heavily on Adaku's heart. One day, Adaku approached Obi with a determined look in her eyes. Obi, I want to go to the river and beg the goddess Nai for a child. Obi frowned and shook his head. Adaku, children from the goddess are spiritually attached to the river. It could bring unforeseen consequences. I cannot allow it. But Adaku's longing was too great. Despite Obi's warnings, she could not let go of the hope that the goddess could grant her the one thing she desired most. Obi remained firm in his decision, and Adaku grew increasingly restless. Her yearning for a child overshadowed her husband's fears. One day, while Obi attended a village meeting, Adaku seized her chance. She gathered her courage and made her way to the river. The sun was setting as she reached the riverbank. The water shimmered in the fading light, casting an ethereal glow. Kneeling by the river, Adaku prayed with all her heart. As Adaku's prayers echoed through the still evening air, the waters began to ripple and glow. From the depths emerged Nai, the great goddess of the river, her presence both majestic and serene. I am Nai, the great goddess of the river, Nai said, her voice like the flowing waters. My daughter, you have come to me to ask for a child. I will grant your wish and give you a beautiful daughter. You shall name her Akiki. She will be different from others. She will not cry. When she grows up, never make her cry. Always give her whatever she wants. She will protect you and your husband. Go now, my daughter, and never look back. Adaku, filled with gratitude and awe, bowed deeply. With Nai's words echoing in her mind, she returned to her village, never once looking back. Soon after, Adaku gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, just as Nai had promised. They named her Akiki. As foretold, Akiki never cried. She grew into a strong and determined young girl, beloved by her parents. Obi, though initially fearful, came to love and cherish their extraordinary daughter. He and Adaku always fulfilled her wishes, mindful of the goddess's warning. In the village, there was a man named Chief Bola, who was always jealous of Obi and his family's success. For years, he and Obi had quarreled over a piece of land that both claimed as their own. The bitterness between them only grew with time. One day, Chief Bola decided to act on his jealousy. While Obi and Adaku went to their farm, Chief Bola secretly planted some evil charms on their land, hoping to bring misfortune upon them. Unaware of Chief Bola's sinister plan, Obi and Adaku entered their farm. As they stepped onto the cursed ground, the charms took effect, and they both fell down, lifeless. Hours passed, and Akiki, waiting at home, grew worried as her parents had been gone for too long. Fearing the worst, Akiki decided to go to the farm and check on her parents. When she arrived, her heart shattered as she found them lying dead on the ground. Overcome with grief, Akiki cried for the first time in her life. Her tears flowed like the river, and she ran home to seek help from the king. Akiki rushed to the king's palace, her eyes swollen with tears. "Your Majesty, my parents are dead in the farm. Please help me," she pleaded. Instead of addressing her parents' death, the king was captivated by Akiki's beauty and her sudden display of emotion. He had heard tales of the girl who never cried and was mesmerized by her sorrow. "Akiki, you are truly remarkable," he said, ignoring her plea. "Come, let us talk." Akiki was furious as she faced the king. "How dare you look at me like that? I came here because my parents are dead, and you're talking nonsense." Her voice was filled with anger and sorrow, echoing through the palace. The king, angered by Akiki's words, shouted, How dare you speak to your king this way? Guards, seize her! The guards moved to obey, but as they approached, Akiki's eyes turned a piercing blue. If any of you come near me, she warned firmly, you won't live to tell the story. Filled with grief and rage, Akiki stormed out of the palace and headed straight for Chief Bola's house. When he saw her approaching with fierce determination in her eyes, Chief Bola was shocked and afraid. Before he could utter a word, something extraordinary happened. Akiki's demeanor changed, and she transformed into a massive serpent. Chief Bola trembled in fear, realizing the gravity of his actions. "Please," he pleaded, his voice shaking, "have mercy." But Akiki, embodying the wrath of Nai herself, struck swiftly. With a single powerful strike, she ended Chief Bola's life. After burying her parents, Akiki returned home, filled with sorrow and anger. The king, hearing of her situation, sent elders to propose that she become his 10th wife. But Akiki was furious at the suggestion. "How dare he?" Akiki shouted at the elders. "I won't be treated like a prize. Tell your king he can't decide my life." The elders left in anger, promising to deal with her mercilessly. Months later, Akiki met Chukudi, a handsome young man from a nearby village, while fetching water at the river. They talked for hours and quickly fell in love. Despite Chukudi being from a humble background, Akiki admired his kindness and sincerity. They got married in a simple ceremony, surrounded by loved ones celebrating their union. When the king learned of Akiki's marriage to Chukudi, he was furious. "How could she choose a poor boy over me?" he raged to his advisors. "I won't allow this. They need to learn a lesson." The king, furious with Akiki for her disrespect towards him, summoned the elders who harbored similar feelings towards her. Together, they conspired to exact revenge on Akiki and Chukudi. They agreed to kidnap Chukudi and inflict harm on him as punishment. One morning, Chukudi told his wife that he was going to the farm, despite Akiki's warnings. She had a troubling dream about him and sensed danger ahead, pleading with him not to go. Ignoring her fears, Chukudi ventured to the farm to tend to his duties. While working in the fields, the king's guards ambushed Chukudi. They seized him, bound his hands tightly, took him to the palace, and the king and elders subjected him to a brutal beating. Chukudi endured the pain, surprised by the sudden attack and the cruelty inflicted upon him. Chukudi struggled to return home after the brutal beating by the king and the elders. His body was battered, and every step was agonizing. When Chukudi finally arrived, he was barely recognizable. His face was swollen, and his body bore deep wounds from the merciless attack. Akiki rushed to his side, tears streaming down her cheeks as she tried to comfort him. Days passed with Akiki tirelessly caring for Chukudi, but his injuries were too severe. Despite her desperate prayers and efforts, Chukudi succumbed to his wounds, leaving Akiki utterly devastated. As Akiki mourned, a powerful thunderstorm swept across the village, unlike any they had ever seen. Thunder boomed loudly and lightning streaked across the sky, terrifying the villagers. Many believed it to be a sign from the gods, shocked by the tragedy that had befallen Akiki and Chukudi. Akiki's grief turned to anger and desperation for justice. She confronted the king and the elders, demanding answers and accountability for the senseless violence that had taken her husband's life. Instead of showing remorse or apologizing for the tragedy he caused, the king's heart hardened further. Fueled by rage and desire, he ignored her grief and suffering. He forcefully grabbed her and dragged her to his chamber, declaring her his wife. As he attempted to violate her, Akiki's anguish turned to fury. In a moment of divine wrath, she transformed into a mighty serpent. With a swift strike, she unleashed her vengeance upon the king. He died instantly. The news of the king's sudden and violent death spread like wildfire through the village. Shock and fear gripped the villagers. No one knew exactly how it happened. Some villagers said the king's own bad actions led to his downfall. They believed it was punishment from the gods. Others thought it was just something that naturally happened, a sudden end that couldn't be explained. People talked in small groups, trying to make sense of what had happened. The chiefs who had joined the king in causing the death of Chukudi were now filled with fear. They hurried to the village native doctor, seeking protection against Akiki's potential revenge. One evening, as one of the chiefs sat outside his hut, a beautiful lady approached him. She claimed to be lost and asked for shelter for the night, before continuing her journey the next day. Impressed by her charm and beauty, the chief welcomed her in. In the darkness of night, the woman turned into Akiki. The chief was surprised to see her real self. Quickly, Akiki changed into a snake and attacked the chief, causing his death. The other chiefs soon heard about what happened to their friend. They were all terrified and knew they might be next. One of the chiefs suggested they should confess to the villagers about what they did to Chukudi. He believed that admitting their wrongdoings might save them from Akiki's wrath. But the other chiefs strongly disagreed. They felt that confessing would bring great shame upon them. They said they could never admit their actions, not even to save their own lives. They would rather die than face the villagers' judgment and scorn. Fear and pride battled within their hearts, and they chose to remain silent, hoping their secret would stay hidden. Life in the village continued, but the sense of dread lingered among them. One afternoon, one of the chiefs was working in his garden, trying to keep himself busy and distracted from his worries. As he dug and planted, he felt a strange chill run down his spine. Suddenly, a serpent came out from the bushes and bit him. The chief's eyes widened in shock and pain. The venom worked quickly, and he collapsed to the ground. Within moments, he was dead. The news of his death spread quickly through the village, adding to the growing fear and mystery. The remaining chiefs were now more terrified than ever. They saw the deaths of their friends as a sign that Akiki's vengeance was far from over. They tried to stay vigilant, but the weight of their guilt and fear was overwhelming. Two villagers were gossiping near the market. One of them said, "Why are the chiefs dying? What is going on in our village? Who has offended the gods of our land?" The other replied, "Thank God this has not gotten to my family. I am tired of all these strange happenings. I think I will have to go to my maternal village. Maybe there I can find some peace." Akiki was walking down the street, a small smile playing on her lips. "Yes, 3 down, 2 more to go. I must finish them all," she said to herself, her eyes gleaming with determination. Just then, the king's son, who had been living abroad, returned to the village for his father's burial. As he drove through the village, he saw Akiki walking by. He was captivated by her beauty and felt an instant attraction, though he didn't say anything. He just drove past her, his mind filled with thoughts of the mysterious and striking woman he had just seen. When Prince Maxwell arrived at the palace, he called for the elders and chiefs of the village to discuss his father's burial arrangements. As they talked, the prince couldn't stop thinking about the beautiful girl he had seen earlier. He described her to the group, hoping someone would know who she was. One of the elders nodded and said, "That must be Akiki, the most beautiful girl in our land." Prince Maxwell, intrigued, said, "I want her to be my wife when I become king." The two wicked chiefs quickly objected. "No, your majesty, you can't marry her. That girl is evil. You don't want to know what she is capable of doing." Another elder interrupted, "Don't listen to these foolish chiefs, my king. Let's focus on your father's burial for now. We can talk about Akiki later." The room fell silent as they returned to their discussion, but Prince Maxwell's thoughts lingered on Akiki and her beauty. Meanwhile, Akiki had also noticed Prince Maxwell when he drove past her. She felt a strange new feeling growing inside her. She was starting to fall for him. When she got home, she tried to push these thoughts away. "No, this is not happening," she said to herself. "I can't be falling for the son of a beast. No, it's not possible." She struggled with her emotions, torn between her quest for revenge and the unexpected feelings she had for the prince. As Akiki sat outside her hut, lost in thoughts about Prince Maxwell, the two wicked chiefs approached her angrily. "We know you caused the deaths of the king and the chiefs," one accused. "You think we will let you marry the prince? You heard our discussion in the palace today, Because you're a witch." Akiki was shocked. "What are you fools talking about? How could I know what you discussed in the palace? I'm not a mind reader." One chief responded sharply, "Don't act innocent, you wicked girl. You think we're afraid of you? Go ahead and do your worst." They stormed off, leaving Akiki seething with anger and determination. "They know," she muttered to herself, "they know I'm responsible for all the deaths. It's time to finish them." As the chiefs went their separate ways, one of them decided to take a shortcut through the bush to get home faster. Suddenly, a large serpent appeared out of nowhere and struck him. He collapsed and died instantly. When the other chief heard about his friend's death, fear gripped him. He thought of running away, but as he attempted to flee, a mysterious serpent also appeared and struck him down. The villagers were now terrified. 2 deaths in one day sent shockwaves through the community. Fearing a curse or vengeful spirit, the villagers decided to consult the gods for answers. They hurried to the chief priest's shrine to seek guidance and find out who was responsible for the deaths. Before they reached the shrine, Nai, the river goddess, appeared to the chief priest in a vision. She warned him not to reveal the truth or face dire consequences. When the villagers arrived, the chief priest, following Nai's instructions, declared that those who had died were troublemakers and bad influences in the village. Relieved and fearful of further repercussions, the villagers accepted the explanation and left the shrine, believing that justice had been served. However, some remained wary, sensing there was more to the deaths than they were told. A few days after the king's burial, Prince Maxwell visited Akiki's house. He looked into her eyes and said, "Akiki, I love you and want you to be my wife." Akiki was surprised and didn't know what to say. "My prince, I need some time to think about it," she replied, trying to stay calm. When the prince left, Akiki felt a surge of happiness and excitement. She couldn't believe that Prince Maxwell had feelings for her too. She began to dream about their future together, imagining a life full of love and happiness. But her joy didn't last long. Suddenly, Nai, the river goddess, appeared before her. "You must not say yes to the prince, or I will kill him," Nai warned, her voice echoing with power. "Remember how his wicked father made you shed tears. Obey my words, or you and the prince shall face my wrath." Akiki was terrified. "But Nai, my lord, I think I am in love with the prince. Please, don't do this to me," she pleaded, tears filling her eyes. The goddess remained firm. "You already have a husband in the river, Akiki. My son is patiently waiting for you." Akiki's heart sank. She was caught between her love for the prince and her duty to the goddess. Akiki decided to seek answers from the chief priest. She had always known he was a man of great wisdom and knowledge about the gods. When she arrived at his shrine, she explained her predicament and asked for his guidance. The chief priest listened intently, then sighed deeply. "Akiki, there is something you must know. Your mother came to the river goddess many years ago, begging for a child. In her desperation, she promised that her daughter would forever remain faithful and loyal to Nai, no matter the circumstances." Akiki was shocked. "How come my late mother never told me about this?" she whispered to herself, her mind racing with confusion and disbelief. As she made her way back home, the chief priest's words echoed in her mind. "So, I am a daughter of the river," she thought. "No, this can't be happening." Back at her hut, Akiki struggled with her emotions. She felt a deep connection to the river, but her heart longed for Prince Maxwell. The thought of marrying a fish, the son of the river goddess, was unimaginable to her. "I must marry the prince, whether the goddess likes it or not," she said to herself. "She can't expect me, a human, to get married to her son who is a fish. That's not possible. I would rather die than marry her useless fish of a son." Dear viewers, if you are enjoying this interesting story and would like us to continue, please leave a continue comment. Make sure you like, share and turn on post notifications to get notified when we upload the next part. Thanks for watching.